And it was the first day that we saw a 1:20 post time here at the Big A, but nothing's holding us back from bringing you Aqueduct Insider on MSG+. I'm Maggie Wolfendale alongside Richard Migliore for this Thursday show. Mig, beautiful day today. I was enjoying being outside in the paddock, must be said.
It absolutely was a beautiful day. What I found interesting with this later post, it was like almost that soft sunset, kind of that lighting almost like we get in Saratoga. And I know some people say that's blasphemy to compare Aqueduct and Saratoga, but there are some really good qualities to Aqueduct as well.
Oh, yes, there is. We get nice views of the Empire State Building, which I'm sure we will be checking out a bit later. But first, we got to check out some news coming from Aiken, South Carolina. A horse who looked as though he's going to be the leader of the handicap division has returned back to the work tab. That's Palace Malice. So we're excited to have that 5-year-old back in training, turned in a good drill today. Yeah,
it looked like a great first work back, 24th out in 36-3, basically 8ths and 12. And I'm sure they had to be pleased with that. And I always liked when horses wintered in Aiken. It seems like they came out of there in really good shape. And they are pointing to repeat in the Westchester and the Met Mile. At least that's their short-term goals. And we saw that he is very proficient at going a mile around one turn at Belmont. It's an exciting prospect to have a healthy Palace Malice back. Yeah, it really, really is. He looked to be so promising in 2014. Was our 2013 Belmont Stakes winner. So he is going to take that same route that he took last year with the Westchester Met Mile. And we'll look forward to seeing him back at the races. But one that we can look for possibly on the 3-year-old Kentucky Derby trails, a New York bred who broke his maiden here this past Monday, Richie, and that's Tensinger of George Weaver's. And he was very impressive. He was kind of bottled up. He showed a lot of professionalism, kind of muscling his way out into the clear, and the margin of victory doesn't tell the whole tale here. He showed a lot of toughness, a lot of grit to be able to work his way between horses and run down the loose on the lead winner. It is a big step up, Maggie, to the Withers. But you'd have to think with his style, it has to help his chances. Yeah, it has. I think he's a horse that's going to want as much ground as he can possibly get. He's going to get that in the Withers this time around. He earned a 75 Beyer speed figure for that effort, and which was on a wet track. So let's hope he gets a fast track so he can really strut his stuff in the Withers. But a jockey that is going to have to sit it out a little bit longer, Cornelio Velasquez. I've seen him out working horses, but just needs a bit more time. Well, there's no reason to rush, especially this point of the year. You know, he had a tough injury. He's coming back. I have no doubt he'll come back good. But the important thing is to make sure you come back 120%. You don't want to come back at 75, 80, even 90%, because then people are going to say, well, you're not right. Cornelius too much of a professional to let that happen, and he's too tough a guy not to come back winning. Now, he had a plate in his collarbone. What is that like, getting over having metal put in your body? Yeah, well, it is a very difficult thing. People don't realize when they add hardware to you. And basically, if you think about your skin stretched over your collarbone, there's not a lot of extra skin there, so it's basically stretched over a plate. It's not comfortable, and it takes a while for your body to calcify around those screws that they use to adhere to the plate. So I'm glad he's taking the extra week. Like I said, better to come back 100% healthy than maybe have to stop and start and stop. Yeah, well, he's looking for a return to riding races. That is this coming Wednesday. So hopefully we can see one of our favorite veterans, Cornelio Velasquez, back in the saddle. Well, our first race on the card is going to be a New York bred maiden special weight for the 3-year-old fillies, and a bit of a fun call from Johnny I.
Casey Lauren away well and out for the lead. Midnight Champagne, and there goes Born to be Mild now moving up at the rail to poke ahead in front of Casey Lauren. Midnight Champagne is right there in between horses, and Zippa Tequila joins the front runner, so it's 4 of them across the track for the lead. And Misvalued is up on the extreme outside. Then comes Moon Dance Joy, and for the back is the trailer, Mark the Sky in 7th. The quarter 23-2. Born to be Mild, Midnight Champagne, heads apart. Zippa Tequila on the outside in 3rd. Moon Dance Joy is on the move in 4th. Casey Lauren shuffle back to 5th. Then comes Misvalued and Mark the Sky, and the field is at the head of the stretch. The half one in 47 2/5 seconds. Midnight Champagne, Born to be Mild at the rail. Zippa Tequila on the outside, and Moon Dance Joy in 4th. Zippa Tequila up to challenge Midnight Champagne. So it's Champagne and Tequila, and the two of them are heads apart with less than a 16th of the wire. Midnight Champagne, Zippa Tequila, they come for the wire. Too tight to call. Midnight Champagne or Zippa Tequila?
Well, actually, we didn't hear the best part of Johnny Ive's call, and that it was pretty interesting that we had two horses with alcohol in their names coming down to the line with Zippa Tequila and Midnight Champagne.
Yeah, Midnight Champagne along the inside, Zippa Tequila on the outside. John Imbrial's call was terrific, and I'm more of a champagne fan, so I guess I had to give the nod to the inside, who did get the nod and get the money under a very strong finish from Dylan Davis, a kid that can really ride, hasn't gotten a lot of great opportunities, but when he does, he makes the most of it.
Yeah, interesting riding for Jimmy Riccio, one of our well-known claiming trainers, and this horse going out for Chip Dutrow. So that'll be an interesting pairing if we see that in the future.
Yeah, I'm glad to see him get this opportunity, and again, delivering on that opportunity, because that leads to more opportunities. And Jim Riccio's been around for a long time. I rode a lot of winners for him when Pete Ferriola trained for him, so always nice to see them in the winner's circle.
Yes, he is very sharp when it comes to the claim box. But moving on to our next race on the card, it was a open claiming 50 for the older colts and geldings. Once again, 6 furlongs with John Imbrial.
And they're off. The big favorite, Lucky's Dream, away well and going out for the lead. Frisky Warrior now moves up. Down at the rail, it's Street Shark. Extreme outside, it's Regulus, who's racing in fourth. Then it's Matoris, Don Tito, and Newbin Ridge down at the rail. Lucky's Dream challenged here by Street Shark, but it is Lucky's Dream with the lead over Street Shark, and Regulus in the clear on the outside in third. The quarter went in 23 and 1/5 seconds. They approach the far turn. Lucky's Dream by 3/4 of a length. Regulus runs in second. Street Shark is now back running in third. Then it's Matoris, who's next in fourth. At the back of the pack are Don Tito, Newbin Ridge, and Frisky Warrior as they come for the quarter pole. Regulus on the outside and Lucky's Dream. Lucky's Dream on the inside, Regulus on the outside. The two of them are right together as they come down for the 8th pole. And Street Shark is down at the rail. And now Regulus is taking over the lead with Lucky's Dream dropping back. Regulus in front as they come down for the wire. Regulus wins it. Newbin Ridge got up for second. Street Shark was third.
The big favorite, Lucky's Dream, off the board as Regulus at 9-2 gets the victory. First time off the claim for Rudy Rodriguez.
Sitting the perfect outside trip under Jose Ortiz, and we mentioned Jim Riccio being so sharp at the claim box. How about Michael Dubb? It just seems like he claims horses with a plan, and he knows how to get it done. And this horse looked really good in victory. I like this horse. This is a horse to me that they kind of tried to stretch him out, but he looks like a sprinter type. And again, he proved that this is where he's most proficient at sprinting, especially when he gets that kind of cozy trip from the outside.
Yeah, he was kind of bearing out last start, and today he ran straight as an arrow, which was good to see because he is a horse who does have a lot of talent at times. So that led to a pretty big superfecta ticket if you were playing with that favorite being off the board. But we're off the board for this first segment as we are going to take a break here on Aqueduct Insider. Richie and myself will be back, and we will get to race number 7. Welcome back to Aqueduct Insider. Just a reminder, starting today, well, post time was at 1:20 for weekdays, and then weekends we'll have a 12:45 post with that usual 9-race card, and weekdays will stay with 8 races. Looking for the foreseeable future as you're checking out the beautiful Aqueduct Grandstand. But welcome back to our Aqueduct studios on MSG Plus. Maggie Wolfendale alongside Richard Migliore as we'll jump right back into the racing action. A filly that was one of our standouts, or one of my most memorable moments at a win a couple back at Belmont, where she jumped the wire, but we'll see if Kate is a 10 can work something out this time around in Aqueduct 7.
Rose Quartz, Kate is a 10, and they go into the clubhouse turn. Rose Quartz grabs the lead. Flirtatious Spring in second, and Kate is a 10, now being passed on the outside by On a Snowy Evening. On a Snowy Evening runs in third, Clean 11 is fourth, Kate is a 10, back running in fifth. Literata down at the rail in sixth, By Light of Day is alongside in seventh. Traipse in Utopia next in eighth. Kimmy's Lucky Star at the back of the pack with Golden Cheetah. The field races up the backstretch. Rose Quartz by a half length. Flirtatious Spring is in between horses, and On a Snowy Evening on the outside. Then a break of 2 to Clean 11 racing in fourth. Kate is a 10 towards the rail in fifth, followed by Light of Day in sixth. Then it's a 5-length break back to Traipse in Utopia, Golden Cheetah, Literata, and Kimmy's Lucky Star. The quarter 24 and 2, half mile 48 and 4/5 seconds. And on the outside, there goes On a Snowy Evening. Flirtatious Spring now up to second as Rose Quartz drops out of it. On a Snowy Evening with a head in front of Flirtatious Spring. Kate is a 10, is right behind in third. Then Clean 11 and By Light of Day. They come into the stretch. On a Snowy Evening and Flirtatious Spring. They are shoulder to shoulder as Kate is a 10 gains ground on the outside. Here's Kate is a 10 to take over the lead. Down at the rail is Flirtatious Spring, then On a Snowy Evening and Clean 11. Kate is a 10, pulls off the upset. Flirtatious Spring was second. Then On a Snowy Evening and Clean 11.
Paying just over $33, Kate is a 10 gets the win for Joe Parker and Nevin Mangoli.
I got to give Nevin Mangoli's ride a 10. I think he gave her an absolutely perfect trip. Save ground, came out. Keep an eye on Kate is a 10's ears here after she hits the front. She's going to go over the tire tracks here, almost looking for like that next fence.
She did jumping the shadow at Belmont.
Right, she really jumped that shadow at Belmont. Surprised we don't see maybe a little change of equipment, maybe a little shadow roll, something to kind of keep her head dropped, but she didn't react as big as she did at Belmont Park. Nice to see him in the winner's circle. Joe Parker does a good job, and always happy to see him win.
Yeah, it was a good feeling win for everybody involved, that is for sure. Well, going to our 8th race, our final one on the card, it was a New York bred maiden special weight for the 3-year-old fillies going the 1 mile distance.
And the rough. Jules in Rome, Barrel of Dreams, and on the outside it's Ginned Up. The field goes into the clubhouse turn. Barrel of Dreams is the leader with Ginned Up on the outside, and the gray Jules in Rome down at the rail. Razia Sultana is racing in fourth. America's Princess on the outside in fifth. Your Credit is Good. Extreme Outside runs in sixth. Sarah Tiago is down at the rail in seventh. Details in between horses and Just Enough Dior. They're on the backstretch now, and it's Barrel of Dreams, the leader, by a length over the favorite Ginned Up, who runs in second. Jules in Rome, Razia Sultana, and Your Credit is Good, those three all together. Then American Princess racing in sixth, followed by Detail, Sarah Tiago, and Just Enough Dior is the trailer. The opening quarter went in 25 and 1/5 seconds, and the half mile in 50 seconds. Barrel of Dreams. Here's Ginned Up now to move right alongside, and Razia Sultana moves with the favorite Ginned Up. Ginned Up, Razia Sultana. Barrel of Dreams down at the rail. Your Credit is Good is gaining ground on the outside. Then Jules in Rome as the field comes for the quarter pole. Ginned Up, Razia Sultana. Your Credit is Good. 3/4 in 1/15 and 3. Razia Sultana, Ginned Up, their heads apart. Jules in Rome is now coming on through, and Your Credit is Good on the outside. And now Ginned Up has dropped back to fourth as the field moves for the 16th pole. Jules in Rome is the leader in deep stretch, and Jules in Rome pulls away at the end. Jules in Rome by 3.5 lengths, very close for second between Razia Sultana and Your Credit is Good.
Well, Ginned Up did not have the goods to get the mile distance second start of her career, but Jules in Rome who had been bet a lot previously in her last couple efforts, well, she paid a big price today.
And she gets into a perfect trip. Manny Franco got to save ground, able to split horses. Dominic Schettino, even though he doesn't have a lot of wins, is having a terrific meet. All of his horses are running well. Now, that was his 4th victory, but he also has 7 seconds and 3/3. That tells me a barn is going well, maybe not entirely lucky in the running of races, but his horses are running well. And Dominic's a trainer that when he gets hot, his whole barn seems to run well.
Yeah, he had a first-time starter on the Monday card, which with Desert Spirit and Liberty Island, and a promising New York-bred filly who ran very well in our Busanda Stakes. So Dominic does very well with his young horses, especially as well.
It seems like he really hasn't prepared first time. They seem to handle dirt well. They seem to break from the gate well. And that a lot has to do with the schooling they do in the morning. So obviously he's taking care to make sure his first-time starters are well prepared.
That he is. Well, we are prepared to show you the remaining 4 races on the card. It's races 1, 2, 3, and 6.
In 3rd, farther back 3-way ticket down at the rail. They come into the stretch, and it is Reckless Move now with a 3-length lead. Unrepented in 2nd. Then Academy Performance, 3-way ticket, Moves Your Soul, and Brandini. Reckless Move is the leader. Unrepented is 2nd. And it's going to be that way under the line with Reckless Move winning by almost 4 lengths. Unrepented 2nd, then Academy Performance and 3-way ticket. Midnight Fletcher. The field is at the top of the stretch, and Copernicus has built a big lead here. Copernicus is in front by 7 lengths. The half-mile in 47 seconds. Suck It Up Buster is racing in 2nd, then Cat's Landing in 3rd, followed by Kent, Cat's Jack, and Werbathor. But no doubt about the winner here. It is Copernicus. And Copernicus breaks his maiden by 8 lengths. Suck It Up Buster was 2nd, then Cat's Landing. Werbathor checked in 4th. 6 of them stacked across the track as they come into the lane. True Blue Nation down on the inside, and Sun and Moon on the outside, and Sun and Moon has taken over the lead. True Blue Nation back running in 2nd. Farther back, it's Williams Lucky Gray in 3rd, then Missy Bay. Sun and Moon at odds of 1 to 2 to win here by 2.5 lengths. True Blue Nation was 2nd. Williams Lucky Gray. Brendan G looking for some racing room. Political Farce is on his outside. The field is in the stretch. It's Pegasus T. Brendan G looking to split horses. Nowhere to go right now. On the outside is Political Farce. Mach 7 is now coming on as they come down for the 16th pole. It's Mach 7. It's Political Farce. And it is Pegasus T. Brendan G nowhere to go. Political Farce wins it. Then Mach 7. And the late closing.
Well, as we check out those 4 races, the one that kind of sticks out in your mind, especially if you played Brendan G, was that trip he had.
Very, very, very unlucky. Bottled up towards the inside, and you see Manny Franco trying to make a hole there that wasn't really there, and you knew at one point would just get out of there.
I was holding my breath.
Yeah, because he was in so tight, and I just didn't want to see him clip heels, but he kind of extricated himself out of that spot. But at that point, all your momentum's gone. They're not like cars. You can't expect to tap on those brakes and re-accelerate. I think Brendan G's definitely a horse that you have to look at going forward because he never had any opportunity to build into that good rhythm. And like I said, they're just not cars. They can't stop and start like a good sports car.
Yeah, exactly. And he was in good form, you know, coming into this race, and that's why he took a lot of money. So I'm sure a lot of his backers were a little disappointed to see that kind of trip worked out.
But, you know, I think it's interesting. People will be mad at the ride and they'll be upset. But this is more of a case of an unlucky ride, especially on the inner track. You have to save ground. And if you get through, you're a hero. If not, you're the GOAT. Unfortunately, Manny's the GOAT this time. But I'll take that kind of trip because 9 times out of 10, it's going to work out.
Yeah, exactly. I agree with you, saving ground. It's always good to do that. But let's get to our New York bred standout of the day, and that definitely has to go to Kate. Is a 10 for her going away win in today's featured 7th race, and we're checking her out once again. She had all the momentum over her 2 rivals on the inside.
Yeah, and you know, you got to appreciate a filly that shows up every time and tries as hard as she does, and that's what she does. And I think consistency is what you look for in racehorses, and that's what you look for in stallions. And Frost Giant certainly is that, extremely consistent, and he throws horses, Maggie, that can run long, short, turf, or dirt. Frost Giant, not far from me, about 20 minutes from my house.
You know, having worked with Frost Giants, and you know, a lot of other sons of Giants Causeway, they are tough. I mean, they're strong horses, but they're tough. They're durable types as well.
Well, I've always felt like horses that are tough are the good horses because they do have a bit of a will of their own, and they want to be the herd leader, and that's what you want from a good racehorse.
And that is exactly right. My sentiments exactly. As we will check out the jockey standings, and it's the Ortiz boys with Manny Franco sandwiched in the middle.
Yeah, Jose Ortiz keeping up that torrid pace, but Manny Franco not letting him get too far away. Irad Ortiz, Angel Cruz, Israel Rodriguez, and good to see Junior Alvarado coming back off injury, riding as well as he is. Pretty strong, young colony here.
Yeah, it is. And then going back to Junior, as you were mentioning, hasn't ridden many, but what he's ridden has been good. He's knocking them in at a decent percentage. And David Jacobson and Linda Rice still have that 2-win separation.
Yeah, David Jacobson's always going to be tough. He spots his horses where they can win. Linda Rice has been doing well, consistently well, the entire year.
And we're going to check out owner standings. We have enough race cards under our belt to check them out. Rapoli Stable is up there with 7. David Jacobson drawing away, usually partnered, tied at second with 6.
Well, and possibly Rapoli Stable could have added another one if Brendan G had found a hole in the stretch. Might have been number 8, but we got a long way to go, and they're all doing well.
And I know there was some activity in the claim box today, especially with that 9-way shake for Sun and Moon. Carlos Martin said, here you go. I'm sure sometimes you put horses in races because you just want to win a race.
Well, and Sun and Moon was much the best, extremely wide throughout the turn, was able to still draw off a 9-way shake. Very popular horse at the claim box, and he'll have dinner in Michelle Nevin's barn tonight.
And a new trainer in the ranks, Loretta Lindemann, had claimed True Blue Nation for $25,000 out of that same race. A good friend of mine was working for George Weaver prior to actually going back out on her own. So best of luck to Loretta with her new acquisition. Well, that will do it. That's the final turn at Aqueduct. Or excuse me, that's the first turn. We'll be heading into the final turn here on this Aqueduct Insider after these brief messages. Stay tuned, guys. And the grandstand illuminated as always, as it is getting dark around here in Queens. But we're all alight here in the Aqueduct Studios. It's Maggie Wolfendale with Richard Migliore. And Richie, let's jump into tomorrow's race card on Friday, and we'll start things off with our 6th race. It's an allowance race for the fillies and mares, going 5.5 furlongs, as we'll start things with Penny Mine, who's coming off a pretty nice win last time out.
She got a terrific ride and rallied along the inside under Junior Alvarado here, who stays aboard for Rick Schosberg, who incidentally trained Pentatonic. The mother was a really good mare for Rick. And I like when horses are in good form, and I think this filly has an opportunity to go do it back-to-back. Now, obviously, it's a 1/16 of a mile less, and she's going to have to get a sharp pace like she did last time.
And that was what really concerned me about her with the 5.5, and another filly that it does concern me as well, because she's a deep closer, is Kara's Match Point. She hasn't won a race in nearly 2 years, and we're going back to her 2nd place finisher earlier last year.
Yeah, you see she's rallying up along the inside, and I think that's what you have to do, especially when you're on a closer that's a little bit up against it. You have to take every opportunity to save ground and hope you get lucky, and she's going to need to. I agree with you, going 5.5.
We're going to check out Bossy Saratoga, who is the 8 horse there, is regretting being in dirt. She doesn't like it. It's the first time she's ever been hit with dirt, and she's going to actually get impeded with as they come into the turn here. So that comment line is not accurate. She was nowhere near being 4 wide at all, and she gets knocked sideways right here.
Yeah, and I wonder, Maggie, it's really hard angle to tell if maybe she didn't create some of her own problem, maybe stepping out into that filly and then kind of bouncing off of her into the rail. You would know better than me because you're around her. Is she a timid type? Because it looked like when that kickback hit her, she was climbing a great deal.
Yeah, she's not. I adore her. She's one of my favorite rides in the morning, that's for sure. She's not. She's a pretty bold filly, and I had worked her in dirt too, so I was a little bit surprised. It was kind of like it made her mad more than anything, and she just resented it.
It's a lot different in the mornings and the afternoons, so it comes back so much harder in the afternoons because they're going so much faster. In the mornings, it's a much more controlled kind of environment, and they're basically going in 8th and 12 as opposed to 8th and 11, and it's a lot harder in the afternoon. So I'm sure she'll learn from the experience, but she'll probably work out a much different trip this time.
Yeah, exactly. It's about half the size of the field last time. 6 post, and there's some speed to her inside, but as long as she's outside, Bossy will be liking that. But our next race is race number 7. It is a allowance race for a 2-other or 3-other then, if you will, for the state breds, the fillies that is, going the 6 furlongs. We're going to start things off with La Bella Valeria, who is pretty quick and in superb form for Chris Englehart.
And the beauty of her is that even though she is that quick, she doesn't necessarily need the lead. She can work out a trip if she has to, where she stalks, especially if there's speed to her inside. I think another horse. I like horses in good current form and horses that like the inner track, and she's both of that.
Well, that speed to her inside is this filly here. That is Laura Condisco, who's done absolutely nothing wrong in her 3 starts of her career for Gary Gullo.
No, as we watch her dancing her way into the winner's circle here last time, 1 for 1 on the inner track, is committed to the lead from the rail. Jeremy Rose rode her last time. He put her on the lead pretty quick fractions, and I think she will be the pacemaker, and probably La Bella Valeria will be stalking her.
Well, another filly in here is Miss Sylvia A, going out for the ever-dangerous Michelle Nevin, and once again another filly coming off a win last time out.
Off a win last time, and her only start on the inner track last year, albeit in maiden 35,000 company. She won by 8.5 lengths, and it was her fastest race to date. And I believe with the inner track, there are horses for courses. So I think Miss Sylvia A is a horse you have to give a long look to because of the affinity for the inner track.
Yeah, and she could fit the perfect trip with those 2 speeds. So we'll see what shakes out for her. But a guy that has a lot of ideas about tomorrow's card is always Mr. Opinion himself, Andy Serling. So here's your handicapping insider.
The 7th race on Friday's card, hard to remember exactly what day tomorrow's races are, like a pretty contentious and interesting race. Also a race, I believe, that's been chosen for the National Handicapping Challenge, which takes place starting tomorrow out in Las Vegas. That's the DRF-NTRA National Handicapping Challenge. A couple of horses interest me here. The one I'm taking on top is the 3 Elmra. She looks like the kind of horse that could be moving forward for trainer Mark Hennig. And coming off a long layoff last time out, or long layoff, 4 months. It was a couple months ago, but we've had some weather in the area. And Elmra, I thought, ran well that day. She showed more speed than she usually shows, which I think is frequently a tightener situation for going forward. She wasn't being the favorite Sister Margaret regardless, and she's not really a speed type, and she finds a field that's full of speed. So I think she can rate a little bit in here, and if she can move forward just a little bit off that return race, I think Elmra is a very dangerous horse in this race. But I'm also using the 6th Champagne Ruby, who would also benefit from some pace. An interesting 7th race on Friday's card as we go back to Maggie and Richie.
Well, of course, Andy likes none of the horses that we talked about here, Richie, as per usual, but that's okay. Well, that'll about do it for us on Aqueduct Insider. For the MIG, I'm Maggie Wolfendale. Enjoy that beautiful sunset, and make sure you join us here tomorrow for Aqueduct Insider. Good night, everyone.